Martha continued her work as a war correspondent, covering World War II, the Normandy landings, and the war in China. But Hemingway, though he knew her love for work, wanted her to quit and be a housewife. Refusing to be subordinate, Martha infuriated him, and he once wrote, "Are you a war correspondent or my wife in bed?" Sometimes he even resorted to violence against her, and as their relationship cooled, Hemingway sought out other women. In 1944, a reporter named Mary was having dinner with friends when Hemingway approached her. Despite both being married, Hemingway pursued Mary relentlessly, proposing on their third date. Just as with Pauline, this was his way of making his spouse give up. In 1946, after both divorced, Hemingway married Mary, his fourth wife. Though less famous than Martha, Mary was also a professional journalist and writer, working for BBC, Time, and other outlets. Unlike Martha, Mary was willing to leave her job to care for Hemingway. Their early marriage was peaceful, though Hemingway continued flirting around. But by then, he was middle-aged, overweight, and no longer charming, and younger women were only interested in him for his money. Hemingway and Mary often fought, even in front of guests. Later, Mary admitted she should have left earlier to avoid lasting bitterness. In 1952, Hemingway published his greatest work, The Old Man and the Sea. But the next year, while on an African hunting trip, he suffered injuries in a plane crash and car accident. The resulting head trauma worsened his health, and he increasingly relied on alcohol. By 1954, when he received the Nobel Prize in Literature, Hemingway was already in poor health. In 1960, Castro's rule strained Cuba-U.S. relations, prompting the Hemingways to return to New York, where his depression worsened. In July 1961, Mary found Hemingway dead by suicide. Depression and suicide ran in Hemingway's family. In 1928, his father shot himself after financial and health struggles. His siblings and granddaughter also ended their lives. Hemingway was drawn to talented, independent women, yet wanted them to be submissive and supportive. In his marriage to Pauline, he went to report on the Spanish Civil War, but disliked Martha doing the same. In 1948, 2 years into his marriage to Mary, Hemingway told a friend he'd seen Hadley on the street. Reflecting on his first wife, who supported him financially and bore his children only to be cast aside, he said, "I thought time would make me forget you, but you've never left my mind. I remember our hardest days. I want you to know that you'll always be a part of the women I write about, and I'll spend my life describing you." Would Hadley have been moved by these words if she'd heard them? Hemingway's literary contributions are undeniable, yet none of his wives or lovers found happiness with him. Though they contributed to his work, they received neither gratitude nor recognition, often reduced to being Hemingway's ex-wife, despite their own talents. If you could go back, what would you say to Hemingway? Which other famous person's story would you like to hear? Feel free to comment, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.